All right, let's talk about Josh Allen for a second. I think he's an interesting player. So what I'm going to do here is look at some stats, some more advanced stats, to kind of just help us understand who Allen is more as a player. A lot of times when people look at these kind of things, they want to see it as oh, could this help us explain if this player is actually secretly better than people realize or worse than people realize? I kind of look at it more of this can just help us understand who the player is and what he's better at and worse at, not so much how good is he in general. I think, most people feel around the similar way about Josh Allen, and I think that, looking at this, I think we're all going to kind of agree that this is who, we all have a similar opinion as to what Josh Allen is, I think, but this can help us kind of understand, what he does well and what he does poorly. So let's just get into the data and talk about it. So first off, something like this. So just so you know what you're looking at, so all the way at the left, that is 20 plus yards down the field, to the 10 to 19 range, and then 0 to 9 yards down the field in terms of where he's throwing it in terms of air yards. Then from left to right, you have certain categories, and this is where he ranked in each of these categories. So 20 plus yards down the field, PFF grade, very good, second best in football. Passer rating, fourth best. Big time throw percentage, that's what BTT is, that's sixth best. And turnover worthy play percentage, that is ninth best. Not ninth worst, ninth best. This is all, the lower number, the better. And then SS is just sample size. So there were 37 eligible quarterbacks who had enough passing attempts, 20 plus yards down the field to qualify, and that's where he ranked in all of those, which was very good, 20 plus yards down the field. He was incredible there, and also really good at the 10 to 19 range. Eighth best PFF grade, sixth best passer rating, seventh best big time throw percentage, and then, put the ball in harm's way a little bit more, 17th most, still around mediocre, so you'll certainly take that with how good he was, at adding value in that range, but that's maybe one way where he was just okay at, not great at, like he, as he was great at everything, 20 plus yards down the field. Less than 10 yards down the field, although more than 0, I cut out behind the line of scrimmage plays because those just feel very fluky. But the 0 to 9 range, he was legitimately not that great, which is interesting. 31st PFF grade, 30th passer rating. Now, the big time throw percentage says 5th best, but literally everyone other than the top 4 guys are tied for 5th because he had 0 big time throws, just because it's so difficult to get a big time throw that shallow on the field. So could have even not included that one, but again, he had 0, but don't hold that against him too much. And then turnover worthy plays, though, the 32nd best. So he turned the ball over, or at least put the ball in harm's way a lot in that range comparative to the rest of the competition. Again, guys don't really have too many turnover worthy plays in that range, but he did have a decent amount. So that's something that you would, maybe like to see him improve upon, is that 0 to 9 range. Maybe it's a scheme thing, I don't know, but he was great once he's throwing the ball further down the field, which of course we already knew. So that's, again, not necessarily saying, oh, well, this is a flaw in his game that you have to pay more attention to. I mean, maybe this is something you could try to scheme up a little bit, is play, I think about Jacksonville, who played cover 2 in that game where Allen did kind of struggle a little bit, and maybe the idea is, hey, you make sure that he has to throw it underneath to limit him, but that's what you do against great quarterbacks anyways, so I don't know how big of a deal it is. Now let's go over here. When he was under pressure, he was, according to PFF, the best quarterback in football. They gave him the best PFF grade. And again, some people get confused about what PFF grades actually mean. But for a quarterback or just a position in general, think about it like a batting average. It's how often did you do the right thing? That's the best way to view it. So it might not necessarily be the best measurement of how good you are, but I think it's a pretty good measurement of that batting average is the way I would compare it to. And he did the right thing under pressure a lot, which is cool to see. 5th best passer rating, 3rd best big time throw percentage, still put the ball in harm's way too much at 25th best. That's kind of where he struggled, but he did so much good when he was under pressure that he was still, that by far and away outweighed the bad. You could have some concerns about, will this go away? Will you consistently be able to perform well under pressure? Those are some interesting, concerns to have, but at the end of the day, well, yes, under pressure stats can be a little bit fluky. It's still better to be great at them than bad at them, and he was great at them. And even the kept clean stats, he was still really good at. 12th best PFF grade, 11th best passer rating, big time throw percentage at 12th, and turnover worthy play percentage at 17th. So even that stuff is still very good. Meanwhile, going over here, let's talk about play action stats. Not really a huge difference in a lot of these stats in terms of when he's running play action versus not running play action. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, does pretty much just as good when he's asked to run a play action as he's not. So 7th best PFF grade when he's running play action, 4th best when no play action, 12th best passer rating to 15th best passer rating. The big time throw percentage is a little bit of a difference, but what's interesting is it's better when he's running play action than not running play action, which is a bit surprising to me, but maybe just makes me wonder if, because he scrambles out more than other guys, like when a play action doesn't work and can make that happen, that maybe he just gets more opportunities for a big time throw, which is what allows him to be so much better there compared to other guys when they run play actions. I don't know. Again, just a theory, just something that's popping up in my head. Like I feel like I say this a lot in my videos. I'm not jumping to conclusions with these stats, just giving a potential theory as to what it could be. And then the turnover-worthy play percentage is nearly identical. Again, it's a little bit high in both areas. It's just a little bit high in general. He will put the ball in harm's way every now and then. We know that. Just the good outweighs the bad. So, play action versus no play action, no real difference there. And then finally, so this is all over the board a little bit with the more than 2.5 seconds and less than 2.5 seconds. This is when did you throw the football? What, did it take you less than 2.5 seconds to get rid of the football or more than 2.5 seconds? And the reason why the cutoff is 2.5 seconds is that's right around where most plays kind of either work or don't work. So the less than 2.5 seconds for the most part, that's on script stuff. More than 2.5 seconds is off script stuff. It's not perfect, it's not identical, but that's kind of how this works. So you see less than 2.5 seconds. So in some areas, he's not as good. So like PFF grade, okay, he was the best quarterback in football according to PFF grade when it takes him more than 2.5 seconds, but he was only 18th best when it was less than 2.5 seconds. So you might think, okay, well, mediocre on script, but just amazing off script. But then you look at some of these other stats. So passer rating was pretty close to the same. Big time throw percentage was actually a significant drop off. He was much better at getting these, splash plays, these home run throws when he was getting rid of the ball quickly than when he wasn't, which is kind of a little bit counterintuitive. I feel like typically you think of a great play has to happen on a sort of a playmaking type play. Well, not with Allen. He actually made the majority of his, or at least a higher percentage of his big time throws comparative to the competition when he was getting rid of the ball quickly and doing this on-script stuff. He also did put the ball in harm's way more when he held onto the ball for longer. But again, so it kind of makes you wonder, well, then how did he end up with such a good PFF grade if he put the ball in harm's way more and didn't have as many explosive plays? Well, again, it's a batting average stat. So the way I would say this is that his slugging percentage might be a good way to use this if you're a baseball fan, where he kind of, I think the way I would say it is, he had a lot of doubles when he threw the ball more than 2.5 seconds. When it took him more than 2.5 seconds to get rid of the ball, a lot of good plays that were, above average, but maybe not necessarily the home run type plays, whereas he had more home runs when he got rid of the ball quickly, and he didn't strike out as much, he didn't put the ball in harm's way as much, but maybe didn't have as many of these just above average plays, although still had a decent amount. That's kind of the best way I can describe that, which is a little bit complex, but I think it makes sense to me at least. Hopefully it makes sense to you as well. So what do we make of all this? The first thing is, Josh Allen is really good. We all know Josh Allen is really good. He's not a perfect quarterback. There are some issues in his game, and I think we know that too, unless you're a Bills fan who wants to believe that he can do no wrong. I mean, I think even if you're a Bills fan, you realize, okay, no, there are some flaws in his game. He's still a star quarterback, but there are some flaws, and maybe there's things he can work on, specifically that shallow stuff, throwing the ball underneath. Maybe that's an area that he can improve upon, or maybe it's a scheme thing or a talent thing. Maybe it's a combination of all three. We'll have to wait and see. It is still just one season, so who knows for the most part. But the other stuff is just really incredible. He is a great playmaker, and he's someone who he can kind of, he fills both boxes, right? When you just need him to stand and run the offense, he can do that. But when you need him to do more than that, he can also do that as well. And that's obviously the sign of a great quarterback, which he is. So again, I find this stuff interesting. I feel like it really gets people annoyed sometimes just looking at these numbers, but I find it interesting. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.